Good afternoon, folks. What's going on? Yesterday, I told you that I was really excited to get this book. Now, it's here, and I'm super excited. And if you guys want to know what this is my new book. This is Anomaly. This is what it is right here. No, I'm just kidding. It's a blank book because I like blank books. And usually I write in normal note papers on like notepads that you would see like when you were in school. But not today. I wanted to go with this hardback book. Cost a couple of bucks on the internet. And I'm excited about it. I don't know if it's going to do anything different than other notebooks, but we're going to try it out. Guys, I'm super excited. Guys and gals, I'm super excited today because this is an episode which has a guest. We don't always have guests here on Zack Miller Live, but it's Zack Miller Live 22, which is an Emmett Smith edition of Zack Miller Live. It's a very clever name. I know my guest today is going to probably butcher it and think that it's not as exciting as I think it is. But she has been around the block, a big-time marketing specialist. We're going to go into what strategy is necessary with your brand, your personal brand, your business. And she has been at places like the VC Brand Center, Target in Minnesota, that big brand, the Martin Agency, and now is a senior strategist over at BCF. We have the one, the only, Abbey Birsch Garbarino. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
Yes! That was like my whole goal the whole day. I had one thing I had to do, and it was make sure that I got
Get the name right.
So you were just talking about how, when we were talking just a second ago, you were talking about how you're still including your kind of maiden name and your, I guess, married name. There's a lot of guests that I've had on my podcast that actually are putting their middle names into their kind of whole shtick as to how they're explaining themselves. So if their name is John Smith, they would be like John Ryan Smith, and it kind of helps them stand out. Is there any strategy involved in this with you and your name?
Well, for me personally, I've worked really hard to get to where I am. I have some kind of notches on my belt. I've been in different states, some different categories, some different companies, some different. So to kind of do a switcheroo, Abbey Birsch to Abbey Garbarino kind of felt really abrupt and like I'd lose a lot of sort of those connections. I don't think I'm like super popular and super well known, but I think when people see my name, they're like, oh, I worked with her so-and-so place. So for me, it was sort of important tie to sort of my background in the industry. I was definitely going to change my name either way, but I think professionally it was a smart decision to keep it just so clients I have now and clients from the past are like, oh yes, like I remember her.
That's smart. Makes a lot of sense. Do you think that that's something that a lot of people are thinking about kind of when they get married, or are they just constantly going back to it?
To be honest with you, no. It's interesting. I see more women, and men nowadays keep their maiden names on Facebook, and that's when I kind of saw it, and I said, well, when I get married, like, because people will message you on Facebook and be like, oh, I'm so and so, and you're like, I don't know who this person is, and then you like look at their name, they're like, oh, formerly their maiden name, and that's when I thought I was like, oh, well, professionally, I want people to like remember who I am. Garbarino is just a big departure from Birch. So although it may be a lot of letters now, I think for my personal brand, again, like I've worked very hard to get to where I am, and I worked very hard for this personal brand and the work that I do. So I wanted to kind of keep a little bit of the past as well. Now I do see people, like you say, on resumes and things that I receive use their middle name. I do not think that's exactly a bad idea, especially when you're saying my name's John Smith. What's to differentiate you from this John Smith to the next John Smith? Now, if you have a middle name like Washington, John Washington Smith, there's probably a story behind that or the reason why your parents, and it might give the interviewer a little bit more insight on who you are, what kind of family you come from, and what kind of person or teammate you might be. So I don't think that's a horrible idea for your personal brand.
Sure. Yeah. When I first learned about it with a couple of these people that I've had on, I was like, so why do you do it? And they were like, well, when you Google, one of the guys' name is Brandon Adams, and I think Brandon Adams is actually a Mighty Duck and character, not the
that's
character,
awesome.
but the
actor.
And because I think I looked this up yesterday, and I think that's what it was. And so I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I was like, oh, It makes a lot of sense. And so this guy's name is Brandon T. Adams. And so I can't remember what his middle name is, but it starts with a T. And he's like, oh, Brandon T. Adams. And so now when people search for him, it's a recognizable thing. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And I mean,
it does.
I mean, my name is Zack Miller. And so a funny story with my name is there is a couple of Zack Millers in the National Football League. And during football games, people will tweet at me, which is great because I respond back like I'm actually playing in the game with them. They're like, oh, good touchdown.
Totally.
And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. All right. Moving on. You talked a little bit about your personal brand and how I think that's something that's been really popularized at this point in 2018.
For sure.
But I don't think it's something that's kind of new. I think it's something that these things have been around forever. Some people say you really got to consciously work on your personal brand. I believe that to be true. However, I think that you're going to have a personal brand no matter what you do.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about personal brand.
I think that the number one advice we got our first day at the Brand Center, which is an advertising graduate program, Richmond, Virginia at the VCU Brand Center, was a speaker came out there and said, don't be a douchebag. I highly take that to heart in every career path I've been to and even in my everyday life. I think number one thing about a personal brand is don't be a D-bag and just be a kind person. And in this day and age, it is hard sometimes, but I think first and foremost is that, like, I've had people tell me that my skills in this industry, whether it's like Photoshop or Wilson or Mintel or data or analytics, whatever, might not get me as far, but my personality will. I've left every job on very, very good grounds. I can call any past manager and have them write a review for me. So I think that is the main thing about personal brands. You gotta remember to just be a good person. In this day and age, it's sort of hard. But for me, my personal brand has gone through some evolutions. In undergrad, it was very this crunchy granola sort of hippie version of myself. I went to Savannah College of Art and Design. And then, I got my first kind of jobs and was in the real world, and then went back to the Brand Center, and I realized it was definitely time to take certain characteristics of that brand and fine-tune them, and definitely kind of sit it around a more professional view of myself, as I was, definitely interviewing at corporations such as Target and some very kind of tier one brands that are a little bit more suit and tie than what I, originally viewed myself as. And now, again, that brand on paper has kind of gone through an evolution. When I've gone through that sort of junior mid-level up to the senior role level, you definitely kind of have to keep I don't want to say reinventing yourself because that's the wrong word, but definitely keep tailoring your brand to the roles that you want to go after. I was very lucky. I'm very blessed in the instance of being able to sort of help run strategy at the BCF agency. And though BCF is much smaller than the agencies I've been at the past, the opportunity to be a part of sort of the senior leadership here was very important to me. So, I knew that I had to kind of start tailoring my brand in a more strategic, professional, senior level way. Yeah. So, I do a lot of work with the Marketing Association. I'm doing this today. I taught at the VCU.
This is an important event in your life.
It is. It is. People at work are probably watching this.
What I think is important, though, and something you said, and something that we've been preaching a lot here on the show, and just in general, is kind of this thing like the thank you economy. Just like be nice to people. And so,
for sure. 100%.
When you walk in to the gym or a store and there's someone behind you, don't just let them walk past you.
Hold the door.
Say hello.
And say hello.
So many of these people just stare at you like, who is this jackass? And I'm like, I'm just being a nice person. Like, there'll be people at the grocery store, and I'm like, and you could tell that they're elderly and they need help. And I'm like,
for sure.
Why should I not help these people? And
exactly.
So I'm encouraging people, like, if you want to be an anomaly, the first thing you could do right now that's super easy is to just, like, thank people. So
absolutely.
Watch this video, watch the whole thing, and at the very end, go find some people and thank them or hold the door
absolutely.
for them.
something that I love too is like, and I'm always interviewing. Like, I love my job right now and I love this agency, but I'm in it. I think it's great to continue interviewing. I think it's great for skills. I think it's great to sort of kind of get an under the rug view of what you should be learning. I'm a firm believer your education is never done. But at the end of every interview, I send them a handwritten thank you card. And about 90% of the time, yes, stationery. There you go. I have some too. I have to update it with my married name, but 90% of the time people write back, they're like, I haven't gotten a handwritten thank you card in 5 years. Like, thank you. You know, and that just leaves like a very like great mark of your personal brand upon someone. And whether that, you know, interview took you to the next level there, it might not, but they might call you in 6 weeks, a year, 2 years because you remained a great person in their mind.
I mean, it's so freaking simple, right?
For sure.
I look at back at like, it's almost like if people are talking about a specific strategy, it's too late.
For sure.
And this right here, people are like, that's so much work. I'm like, cool, well, you can continue to be the Cox cable salesperson that calls you every day to tell you that you want faster internet when you can't stand it. Or you could go above and beyond and spend $3 including shipping and get this.
Absolutely.
No, sometimes I forget to do this, but now you've made a point that I have to make sure I send this to you.
Absolutely.
Because if I don't, I'm going to get called out for it.
I have like awesome ones on my wall behind me is pretty boring, but my wall in front of me is pretty awesome. And I have people's thank you notes that they've sent me that are just like cool designed or whatever, like up on my wall now. So I mean, like, it can leave like a very long lasting impression on someone.
I think it's insanely important, and if you don't, like, you have to care. And I think we're in a content economy now where people want things immediately. They want to be able to get whatever they can. And content is king. But what people are forgetting about this whole thing is you, number one, still have to care about others. And
For sure.
And I think that's missing oftentimes. But then you also have to have content that doesn't suck.
Agreed.
And that is something that's not talked a lot about. People are like, just produce content. Like, I don't think, and maybe you disagree, but I don't think the vehicle, like the video, the way that it looks or reads is as important as the actual kind of what that content is doing.
Agreed. So at BCF especially, we have this conversation a lot, and like it's not one person's job. We should all be content curators, like content strategists. And in my opinion, it's like, why pump more? Can I curse on this show? I forgot to ask that before we went live.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
If you guys are listening and you don't like cuss words,
I apologize now.
Potty mouth.
It's going to happen. You can continue to pump more shit out into the universe. And I mean, it is shit. I mean, people are inundated with thousands of ads every day. Or you can take a step back, push pause, and really, go ahead and listen to what your consumers or your prospective consumers are already saying about either your brand or your product. And my advice would be is to join that existing conversation. So instead of pumping out this like, or unless you have something crazy innovative that has never been done before, which is probably highly unlikely, you want to join an existing conversation. That way you have an organic growth platform to work from, and then you naturally get these sort of brand or product ambassadors that once you start talking to them, you know, you join this conversation, that they will kind of stand behind you because you are a brand that is listening to kind of what the consumers are saying already. So I think that's like some advice we give a lot of right now I'm at a travel and tourism agency. We do a lot of destination, boutique hotels, outdoors brands, fitness brands, things like that. And obviously you see it all over Instagram every day that those people already exist. So that to our advantage when creating our content, we go see what they're interested in, what they want to hear more, what they can, you know, do with hearing never again. And we kind of work from there. And doing that really organically sort of lifts the content that you're creating as soon as you put it out. Now, sometimes...
Give me an example of where you said join existing conversations. Like, what does that actually, like, spell it out? Like, what does it actually look like?
For sure. So we have a client, Aspen, Colorado, for example, or let's do a better one. Let's do Rapid City. That's where Mount Rushmore is. You know, they have people going to these very much like Mother Nature natural destinations, and they are Instagrammed millions of times through South Dakota. So we started taking influencers, organic influencers from those Instagram posts and started curating content of places in Rapid City that aren't photographed and shared a lot, and had them share them on their social media. And these aren't paid influencers. These are, regular people that are coming there, and we're highlighting their stories and their adventures and their photography and using it on our platform. Or on the flip side, they could very much well have a 100,000 person following, and we bring them back to Rapid City and we have them talk about what they did or where they go. I also think another one, if you were kind of launching a brand, say I was launching a brand of kombucha, I would go on the deep, dark depths of the internet and find groups that talk about kombucha, have them product test, have them tell me what they think about my product, and use those stories and curated content and then launch it as brand marketing. It is a very, and I think that especially the bigger the brand you get, I feel like the more money clients want to throw out. It's like this stuff does not have to cost a lot. You do have to be smart and scrappy about it, sure. But you can be diligent and the price tag that you put on curating your content.
So the book that I just wrote, Anomaly, not to get a plug out there, but the whole thing, the majority of the things, probably 97% of the tactics cost less than the price of the book.
Exactly.
And people just think that if they raise money, if they have all this money, all this stuff is going to come. And I'm like, it doesn't really work that way. Like, you have all these tools. Rebecca Ann Mulvane is here, and she says, can you expand on influencers for your business brand? Kind of explain what an influencer is.
So, yeah, an influencer would be someone that typically has a large social following.
And she has a dog washing service.
Okay, so an influencer in your category may be, one of the famous Instagram pets, or maybe one of the famous Instagram dogs or maybe not even famous, maybe one that's on the rise that you've started following, that you like what their brand is about. And you can either get them to try your service, to try the kind of products you use, and to tag you and your business in it. Now, also, if you're in the Hampton Roads area, I would probably try to find a social influencer that has a dog and have them come in, and you would basically let them use your services for free or your products for free, and then they would post it on social media. Especially influencers that were trying to kind of build their brand that have not hit they get paid $30,000 a post. They're always looking to expand their categories and brand as well, so a lot of bartering happens. Some of the influencers,
the C and D players instead of the A-listers.
Exactly, and that way you kind of get them from the get-go, and forever when they come back. And I'm sorry, is it a dog washing business?
Yeah.
So if they start coming to you, from the get-go, hopefully the bigger and bigger they get, the more, and they keep coming back to your service or product, they'll continue to talk about it, so it kind of builds a little bit of a lifetime value sort of scenario.
Those A players are harder to get, not only from a financial standpoint, but
for sure.
Everyone's asking them the same question. And so there's people out there that are C and D players, which they're still good. They might have better content. They just haven't gotten there yet.
I also believe too that there's still a bit of you still have to be transparent and sometimes even I struggle with is this beautiful woman that wears Patagonia actually going to hike this 10-mile rugged trail in Aspen, Colorado, or are we just paying her to talk about it? You know what I mean? So make sure you are transparent and the people, and that's where those C and D players come in. I know a couple girls in the Hampton Roads area that just have 10,000 followers just for being them, and they're not trying to be anyone, and they're dog lovers, and so someone like them would be a very good person to get in contact with and be like, hey, can you bring your 2 Jack Russells in here? We'd love to have you. The service will be free. Please talk about it on your social media platforms.
And then you have them. What do they do with the content once they get you? And then also, so another thing, I actually found this today. This is an amazing site. It's a Twitter channel, probably an A player at this point, but it's called We Rate Dogs. And I guess people send them pictures.
Yeah,
6 million followers. And then they have all this swag and T-shirts and hats and stuff like that. And they're really funny. They're witty. Stuff like that. But finding a channel like that that's smaller at this point, Rebecca, would be a good thing. for your business instead of trying to, I mean, maybe We Rate Dogs would listen, but who knows?
I also think that there are ways you can, and it's harder to do it from your phone, that tiny computer we all use every day, but it definitely is easier from do it to a desktop. You can go in and look at the hashtags. So, I mean, like, for you, I would look at the hashtag dog washing and see what comes up. And and then there's ways that you can find people in the area that do that. And if you're looking to bring someone in, you can bring someone from an out, so there's tons of ways to use the tools that we're using every day and Instagram, Facebook to kind of help tailor your needs.
When you're trying to find someone, what is a strategy? Like if you, in Rebecca's case, obviously it's easy to find the dog washing things, but like if you're trying to figure out where to start searching for someone, or who could even be someone of interest for you, or just to grow your network, where do you even start?
Instagram. I mean, like, there's no algorithm to it nowadays. We go in and we search, especially for travel and tourism, we search travel and tourism, and there's a ton of those sunshine wanderers that have quit their jobs and packed their lives into vans, and we probably look at 40 to 60 pages before we find one or two influencers that we feel we'd love to contact that would be able to work with us and create content.
Very cool. Talking with Abbey Birsch Garbarino, the most exciting last name I've ever successfully pronounced. I've been practicing that for approximately 14 minutes, so I'm super excited that I got that right. So strategy. What's involved in a strategy specifically for something, I guess, with marketing?
So I think before you even get to the strategy part, you need to have a really clear understanding of what your business objectives are.
Goal in that case?
Yeah, I would say goals. And it can be very much like gain 500 new followers this fiscal year. It can be something about raise awareness that translate into 2% in sales increase. It can be raise revenue. It can be a lot of different things. It's whatever your goals for that fiscal year, because I always try to really tell clients, and even when I freelance for clients, that it really should be year by year. Let's worry about what's happening now. Let's worry about what we have to strategically prepare for next year and the next year. And, you can talk about the 5 to 10 year plans, but, let's worry about what's happening this year, next year, and the next year, and then kind of do a strategic plan for far out years. But so for this fiscal year, building your objectives, your business goals, another big thing that I think small businesses really forget about, especially local businesses, is you still have to have a target market, and you still need to know your target market inside and out. So everyone uses this word, but like millennials is grouped into one big target market, but there's a ton of different millennials within those target markets, and they're all not going to be for your business. Then you can go to the boomers. Well, there's a ton of different boomers, but none of them are all going to be for your business. So I am a strategist at heart. I am a consumer strategist at heart. I want to know who, what, when, where, why about the people that we're going to be talking to. Sometimes clients really don't understand that we can't just be casting this huge net to everybody, because then the money you are putting into the market isn't going to pay off for you. You want your dollars that you are spending to work harder. You want to work smarter, not harder, and really tailoring into your target market and who your consumers are, what they do, what they eat, what they listen to.
I think
all
those
of the
things are actually more important, right? Your standard demos have become, just like you said, there's a millennial, there's a baby boomer, there's a person who did this. But what are they doing on the weekends? What are they watching on TV? What's making them stop? Those are the things that are going to get you to get them to stop.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter if they're your standard demo or your traditional demos.
And again, it's not, when we are pitching new business, because we have our agency, and this is something for a small business owner, or a smaller brand, or a brand trying to get off the ground, I'm not spending tens of thousands of dollars doing it. I'm first going to my Facebook. I'm first plugging a status. Hey, has anyone ever been here? Hey, has anyone ever done this? And I do about 50 interviews from Facebook. I have about 4 to 5 colleagues do about 10 to 20 interviews from their social surroundings. Sometimes we'll make a Survey Monkey and let it go live. If I owned a dog washing business, I would probably interview every person that came in there just to have, you know, a really good sign of who my consumer is now and what they're like, whether it's more female to male, whether it's 20s to 30s, 40s to 60s, you know, is it professionals, is it, you know, people who are living like alternative lifestyles. Like you can definitely build your consumer base and even your target markets from the people who are using your brand and product now today.
What kind of questions, when you're interviewing them, are you asking them, and how long of interviews are they?
I would probably say, gosh, well, I think any interview, like for that sort of thing, should be less than 5 minutes. You obviously want to know, you know, the regular demos, age, you know, race, male, female, or how they identify with their gender, I guess I should say now. You know, why they're using this product, why they use competitors' products, what would get them to, you know, a lot of things nowadays is that there's so many options out there. A lot of consumers don't have any sort of brand loyalty. You know, what would get them to switch or to pick a brand loyalty, what price points they're willing to be at is a huge one. You'd be surprised how many people will spend $14.99 on a bottle of wine, will never go to $15. You know, that's like a big one. I always go to that example.
Do you drink $14.99 wine, and would you switch?
No, I buy like $6 bottle of wine from Trader Joe's.
Their $3 wine is pretty good.
It gives me hangovers now that I'm 30. You know.
So you are a millennial.
I am a millennial. I'm like, and here's the thing. I'm like the epitome of a millennial.
What does that mean?
Like I don't know. Like I am. You know, I'm a digital girl living in a digital world. I am.
You own a car?
You know,
I mean.
I do now. Now that I live back here, I own a car.
But when you were in Minnesota, you didn't?
Did not. I sold my car.
Wow, that is very millennial.
I filled up my tank like 3 times in a year, and I was like, why do I have this, and why am I paying $150 a parking? I've never driven to work. So I was like, because their public transportation is so great, and Uber was like one of the first metropolitan cities they got to. So
I'm a millennial too, kind of. I guess like barely. I'm 33.
You're on the cusp, my friend.
And I don't know that I have very many millennial tendencies. I tell people all the time that I learned how to write a paper on a typewriter.
Oh, God.
And my brother and sister, who are about your age, just 3 and 4 years younger than me, they don't understand what dial-up internet was. They got cell phones at like 7, you know? Like, here I am, like, I got my first cell phone until I'm 18. Like, I had to... I mean, it was a wild world.
I think so. You know, back in my heyday at Target, I was probably the way more epitome of a millennial Target shopper. Now I'm that millennial mom. So I'm still a millennial, but like we talk about these people. I'm like, oh my God, I am that. Like I am that. You know. So, but
do you ever sell yourself the products that you're marketing?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, like in new business presentations, we've been talking about the Target, and they'll be like, I mean, just like look at Abby, like look at her, like she's this Target. I'm like, here I am, you know.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I mean, I oftentimes think it's hard to get that out of yourself, right? Figuring out what exactly.
For sure.
Right, like you don't want to market something to yourself. You should never start a business for your own pain point if you can't find that own thing. So then, how do you understand that you're just not super giddy about something, but that you actually like that thing?
No, one more time.
So you understand that you're the target.
Yes.
And that you are
How do I remove myself?
Well, or how do you make sure that what you're saying is actually going to get excited?
So, although I do tell clients I'm probably the epitome of a lot of consumers, I at the beginning, though, especially the research stage, I try to kind of go into it like a blank slate. You know, I mean, a lot of these destinations are sort of marketing to, let's say, like young millennial families. And this is the agency I work at now. We do destination marketings for a ton of tourist attraction destinations throughout the United States, Canada, and internationally as well. So I think kind of going into it and having to turn who you are off a little bit. I mean, and that's hard too, because I've been like, I would never go to this place, but like I have to find targets that would, and those targets just aren't me. You know, they're not born and raised on the East Coast. They're not, dual working household incomes. Those are the sort of things. So like if you're talking about a destination in the Midwest, it's more, there's definitely a geographical difference of the targets, and that's what kind of helps those demographic differences as well, and the psychographic. So that helps. I don't know if that answers your question.
It gives better content. Stanley says hello. Renee says
Hey, Stanley.
Renee says that she learned on a typewriter and she's not your typical millennial. Well, that's great, Renee. I appreciate that you learned that as well. There's nothing worse than having to write something and then, what is it? You have to go back and kind of white out the whole thing.
White it out.
God, that was such a pain. So we talked a little bit about content. We talked a little bit about strategy. We talked about not being a douchebag, and that's really strong information. But all those things aside, if you have something that's amazing, but you can't get that person to stop, it doesn't matter.
No.
So how does someone get someone to even stop, even for a couple seconds? Because you say it's thousands of ads you're seeing a day. You're seeing a couple on this video alone. You're an ad, I'm an ad, things behind me.
Yeah.
Like, what makes someone stop?
I think it goes back to, one, you have to be very smart about your target market. If you're kind of just casting a wide net to everyone, 90% of those people are going to throw it out immediately. I think another thing is that, we are inundated with a ton of content, and we are inundated with a lot of brands. And the brands that I can throw away are the brands that I feel like are not authentic, are not transparent, are not tailoring their content to who they're speaking to at that time. I also think that regarding your brand, product, or service, you have to be smart and at what time of day you're going to serve them ads, or what time of day you're going to post things. You know what? I would love to see let's just say I don't want to see a breakfast ad at 9 a.m. because guess what? Breakfast is over. I want to see a breakfast ad before I go to bed tonight, so I wake up and be like, dang, I want that breakfast. So I think it's being smart about when you serve ads and when you launch things, when you post things.
That's good, right? Because you want that McDonald's breakfast.
Exactly.
I always get one big plug a day, and I feel like that was it. So McDonald's, while I don't consume you very often,
there it is.
I'll eat a Grand Big Mac if you want.
Yeah, send them Zach's way. So I think that there are some things. I also think it's even getting out of the social digital space. Go where the people are at. You know what I mean? If you are a dog washer, go to Bark in the Park night. Go to Dogs and Brews or whatever things are at the breweries, and getting as local and grassroots as possible. I don't care how big you get is so important, because again, it goes back to be oh my gosh, that brand is a great person. That brand is a kind brand. That brand is respectful of what's going on at the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. You know what I mean? I think it's still, and that's why, and the brands I think about that I am sort of loyal to do a lot of, sort of community efforts and more small scale things and parties and influencer things and, big giant advertising budget commercials, print, media sort of things.
So yesterday, I've been doing this specific show for, I don't know, what is this, the 5th week?
Okay.
5th week live. So right around when I signed the book deal, I was like, I want to start doing a live show. I should have been doing it a long time before, but for whatever reason I wasn't. I've been doing this other podcast and been doing videos in general, but never a weekday show. And so
for sure,
it was something that I wanted to do. And one of the things I've been preaching is just start creating content.
For sure.
If you don't know who your necessarily target customer is, take a guess and start kind of shooting out what you think and see if people gravitate towards it. And so Stanley Sparrow has a business where he makes kind of men's accessories for suits. So lapels, and I don't wear a lot of suits, so I don't know, the little pocket square things like that. And so he just shot, I've been telling him to do a podcast. I've been telling him to create content because his stuff, while it might look good, it wasn't going to make someone stop because he was doing the same thing over and over again. I was like, you have to do something a little different. And I was like, well, maybe think about doing a podcast. And so yesterday I showed him how, literally on live, I showed him how simple it is to shoot a podcast. And I said, take your phone, press the record button, and then send it basically to your computer and upload it. And so he just said that he did his first podcast this morning. He posted this in the comments and that he was kind of nervous. So knowing a little bit about Stanley and that he has this men's accessory business, from a content perspective on a podcast or through maybe Facebook, what type of things would you be looking for, or would you be encouraging your clients to be kind of thinking about in the content?
For sure. Well, first off, Stanley, selfless plug here. I do freelance on the side, so I'm not going to give you all my secrets, but you can 100% call me and we can chat. But you say men's accessories. Once again, I immediately kind of go to, and not just from a podcast point of view before we get there, I think it's like you can find some people in this area, men, who have a great following, and you should talk to them, give them some product, have them test it out, have them as a guest on your podcast. I know that Fashion Week just happened. I'm not really super dialed into the fashion kind of vibe here, in Hampton Roads. But I mean, like, I probably would have been at places and done things during that, and I probably would have had a Facebook Live or a podcast going. I think that there's a ton of different stuff. Men's accessories, again, I recently went to a black tie affair. My husband, he owns a construction company, but damn, does he get dressed up to go to a black tie something. So, like, being at those black tie events, and I think that there's just something so nice about, like, getting people who are well known in the area, who are obviously maybe not going to dress up all the time, and talking to them and what they're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and guess that this isn't like bottom of the barrel sort of mass retailer price point. So you want to be very aware of the target and the price point of what they're going to spend and who you're talking to. And like you said, like, not every man wakes up every day and puts on cufflinks and, a lapel or, a tie every day. So talking to the men who probably are never going to do that is not your target, and so casting that wide net's not going to work for a product like this.
So how do you have that pricing conversation with these people in the interview stage? Do you just say, how much would you pay for this?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, if they say they're never going to pay more than $12, Stanley, I probably wouldn't talk to them any longer. I'd say, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Like, why waste Stanley's time, and, like, why waste that person's time? Like, that's not the person you want to be talking to.
Sure.
Yeah,
A lot of people think...
And I do that a lot, to be honest with you. We're like, hey, if you make it to, like, question 10, we'll give you a $50 gift certificate. It's like question 8, and they're like, nope. But I'm like, thank you so much for your time. Bye. Like...
But we have to think about, like, what is our worth, too, right? And we're worth something.
For
and
sure.
If we're willing to get all this information out there, provide this value to people, but then never make money off of it, like, we're not necessarily improving our lives. We're becoming a charity, and that's
and the thing is too, on that note, is that, like, you want your brand value and the lifetime value, so the brand value, like what your brand is seen, the value that it's seen in the consumer's eyes, and then the lifetime value of a consumer. So if you get a consumer from, the early infancy of your business, and they want them to stay with you while you grow and grow and grow, you want those two things to sort of match, right? Like, you don't want, during your infancy, just trying to grab at every Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes along, just to get people, like, noticing your brand, because they probably aren't going to stick with your brand, or you probably don't want them to stick with your brand as you grow and grow and grow and grow. If you are a fine retailer of become a fine brand of men accessories, you don't want Tom over here from, the Bible place being a brand advocate of yours. It just, does that make sense? Like,
because it doesn't match the brand.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're talking with Abbey Birsch Garbarino, who is, like, a badass marketing chick. Do you ever call yourself that?
I call myself a mad woman, if you will, like an ad woman, bad woman, mad woman, if you will. See what I did there?
I like it. Let's talk about, we got a lot of people watching: Renee, Stanley, Donna, John, Chris. and everyone else from before, thank you guys for being here. If you guys have questions about marketing, strategy, positioning, let us know. I think people are really piss poor at positioning themselves. And what I mean by that is they're so status quo in what they say, and they don't do something that makes them stand out. So therefore their resume or their business or whatever they're doing, it is, if you're applying to school or you're applying to your first job, you're literally one of 100 or 1,000 resumes. Yep. So from a positioning standpoint, and I think you've done a good job of positioning yourself, minus your LinkedIn that lied to me today.
I know, sorry.
That's okay.
It's hard to keep up with.
What are some of the things that someone can do or a brand can do to position themselves to act as an authority in a space that they might not be kind of super well known in yet?
I think that from a person, like a resume sort of view, I think that, nobody wants to receive a black and white text document nowadays. Like, that just seems like legal jargon to me at this point. Like, spice it up, add some color, like, do some graphics, things like that. Like, make it a little different. Give me an about you section. I think I wish I remembered all of my about me section when I graduated from my master's program. But I think it was like, basically, it was like, I never go out dancing without my air guitar. I have a beta fish named Biggie Smalls. I love to paint and draw. And it was like, I was like, I want to be friends. And I see a lot of resumes that the ones that have those are like, I want to be friends with this person. Or it's like, I don't want to work with this person, So, and about me section's great. Also, your skill set that's like sort of outside the position that you're interviewing for is always great. I am no longer an art director, but that's what I started my career out as. So I know the entire Adobe Creative Suite. I know, I dabble in digital photography. So that's something that is kind of just an additive to my skill set, if you will.
When I worked in TV news, I worked there for a few years. It was a very miserable place. But I would help not only judge competitions, but I would also help hire certain positions. And when they were tapes at the time, maybe a couple of them were DVDs. Do you know what a tape is, a VHS?
Yes. I know. Yes, I know what VHS is. Yes.
Those are cool things now if you watch Stranger Things, I guess. But every tape looked the exact same, right? Watch the news every night, it looks the exact same, right?
Yeah.
And so what some people would do, which I think is freaking genius, is for the jobs that they really wanted, they would send like pizza or cake or some sort of food item, because the newsrooms knew that it was something that, or these people that were looking for the jobs knew that if they were to apply for a job like this, that would help them get to stand out a little bit, to be seen a little bit more. Yes. I can't remember if any of these people actually got hired, but I remember getting these cookie cakes or like pizza and being like, oh, that's smart. Like,
yeah. I think that there's a tactful way to do that. I think there's a tacky way to do it. You know what I mean? Like, if you are going to be interviewing for a art direction job, a copywriting job, be as creative as possible. Go outside the box. If you are interviewing for a banking job, jazz up your tie a little bit. You know what I mean? But don't come in there wearing like a chicken suit. Like that probably not going to land you a job. But if you want to stand out a little bit, like, or have. So one of the things we took at Brand Center actually was presentation theory, and basically the whole time, every class we got up and we had to tell a story or give a speech, and basically that was just helping you being able to get to your personal brand faster. So like the last couple classes was like, when in an interview they're gonna be like, well, so tell us about yourself. You should legitimately have practiced that and like know what that is and make it a stage show. You want it to be interesting. You want it to be riveting. You want it to be, there's some peaks and valleys. You want there to be some strengths, some weaknesses. So write that out. Like, know that about yourself. Like, that is your selling point. When people are like, oh, I was born and raised at the beach. I'm married with 3 kids. I got my undergraduate degrees in English. And I love advertising. I'm like, oh,
hi, I'm a very boring person. Please continue to watch me. Like,
yeah, exactly. Awesome. And it's very monotone, and it's very robotic, and it's very like you're not separating yourself from the thousands of resumes that we get every day. But if you're like, was born and raised at the beach. I decided this place wasn't for me. I went away to college. I spent time, whatever, in the Peace Corps. I paint, I draw, I love music. My wife and I went to this festival last year. We have 3 kids. They're monsters. One's an angel. Like, put some personal stuff in it. Spice it up,
Sure. One thing that I think is so important, and this guy that he's been on one of my shows before, Gary Plague. He's got a company called Coraggio Consulting. It helps people with doing their speaking gigs.
Yep.
He calls them performances instead.
Oh, for sure.
And that really hit home for me because I was like, oh, these are performances, and you have to look at it as a performance.
For sure.
And even if you hate getting in front of people, it's an opportunity for you to do something that you hadn't done before, and not necessarily that speaking gig, but it's an opportunity for you to get in front of a group and get that message out and potentially do the goal or objective that you want to do. And so I love that word, kind of performance. So what is
I also think that, like, if you are going to be interviewing, you are going to be giving a speech, you can watch as many speeches as you want to, whatever, but, like, go see a keynote out in the world. Go see a presentation. Go see a talk. Go to the MoCA. Go to a art museum. Go watch someone give up and give their performance. And if it's bad, you know not what to do. If it's great, you're like, I'm going to do that. He killed it, So I think that's important.
I love it. What is a brand to you?
What is a brand to me?
Define a brand.
A brand is a way that people separate a product or a service from the competition. A brand is how people recognize you in the sea of choices. A brand is something that people can truly attach to, understand, and feel like that brand is speaking to them. That's what I think a brand is. And without those things, how can a brand survive, especially in this day and age?
What's something that you're super jazzed up about?
Gosh, this is going to be so typical right now.
Oh boy, I know it is.
I'm a new mom, so I'm going to have to go with, like, I'm sort of obsessed with a lot of lactation brands that help moms breastfeed. So, like, one of them being Milkful, which is a company that bakes consumer packaged goods that help your milk. Another one is called Milk Snob. 2 girls started out of their Brooklyn apartment in New York, and it's a cover that you can wear breastfeeding. It can go on the carriage. It has all these different things. I'm also, like, sort of obsessed, and, everything's controlled by my child right now. He's turning 6 months this week, but Jessica Alba, she's the face of the Honest brand. People think she invented this brand. No, but the investors of that brand were very smart in getting a celebrity on board that people love and respected, and she became the brand. A new mom. So I think that's a very smart brand.
Keep more plugs out, because these brands are going to see you and maybe they'll give you free products. Come on.
Oh my gosh, I hope. I'm also enamored with sort of like copycat brands, if you will. Again, like in the mom round, like Honest diapers. They're expensive as some curse words that I'm not going to say on the show. But there's a copycat brand out there called Parasol, and they invented an organic all-natural diaper, and it's way less expensive, and it's online, and it delivers your order the same thing as Honest. So I think that there's something smart there. What else do I love right now? I'm trying to think of, like, not baby stuff.
First you were the stereotypical millennial, now you're the
now I'm a millennial
mom.
I'm a millennial mom.
I mean, what kind of car do you drive?
A Honda CR-V, mom car.
Okay. It's not as mom cars, I would think. So you're
I am super brand loyal to Smart Water. And this is not a plug to drink bottled water. I do usually use a Turvis tumbler. I'm just saying that. But we went on a road trip this weekend to Savannah, so of course I bought like 17 bottles of water in case we like crashed on the side of the road and needed a
apocalypse. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but I'm super brand loyal to them. I did my thesis on them in grad school and worked directly with them. They are great. If you drink bottled water, buy these. Another plug, Smart Water. I'm I'm sort of obsessed with Kind bars right now. I think they're a great company. Yeah, see, cheers. You know, um, what are some other?
I don't really want to. No offense to Smart Water, I appreciate them. I drink them when I can. But if I was going to get some sort of liquid advertiser, I would want it to be the Dilly Dilly brand. I'm not gonna lie.
What's a dilly dilly?
Bud Light.
Oh,
You never seen those
oh,
commercials?
yeah. No, I haven't know what you're talking about now.
Oh, it's so funny.
I thought you were gonna say a beer brand, but you just went a step further and just like really did it.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, look, Bud Light. If you're looking for a soon-to-be 34-year-old, somewhat millennial activist in the words "dilly dilly," I am your man. So feel free to
Selling
send
it,
as much beer as you want.
selling
I
it.
could put the little dilly dilly logo on the top of this, whatever it is.
What are some local brands that I'm digging right now? Um, uh, so is everyone on the show basically in the Hampton Roads area?
That's probably watching live, probably, but
Okay,
then from an audio perspective, no.
for sure. So, what am I digging? Digging some. Oh, this really isn't local. I'm digging Beauty Counter. It's an all natural makeup brand. Ashley Grosh is a huge. You can find her at the farmers markets on Saturdays. She's great. She owns the Farm Life. It's an organization promoting healthy, all natural farming living, if you will. Probably didn't get that completely correct, but she's a big activist and influencer in the area for Beauty Counter, and also a great person, just all around person, just to say hello to next time you're at the farmers market. Um, I'm a fan of, a lot of all the local farmers really, but I love what like Commune's doing. I love what Esoteric's doing. I love, the whole communal vibe, at the beach as well in Norfolk. Um,
I think what's really interesting, and I think this is happening in a lot of states. So I don't know though, but the whole craft beer movement in general. Even though I was just talking about Bud Light, but I think it's really interesting how in the state of Virginia, Senate Bill 604 actually allowed the consumption of alcohol on premise. And that
yep,
allowed just this whole community aspect to really happen. And not just the alcohol thing, but it's like craft breweries are now coffee shops. And so
yep,
now they're becoming this part of the experience economy. And it's
yep,
something that no one ever was even thinking about. And it's not very often the government does something that actually gets a good result or a dramatic result like that, I would say. So it's pretty cool that you're starting to see this kind of scene go up. I think where you and I live could be kind of the Napa Valley for craft beer, maybe Richmond down to Asheville if you have to get, super wide. But, those things to me are pretty interesting, and just to see people going out weekdays, weekends, bring
mm-hmm.
families, experiences. I think it's interesting, and I think it's pretty cool.
I think that's good.
When you so you're from here.
Yep, born and raised.
What do you tell people? Where do you tell people you're from when you meet someone? Like
Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Got it. So there's this big push that monikers and city names and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on stuff like that?
Um,
So like coastal Virginia, Tidewater, or use the actual city names, Hampton Roads. Do you think those things matter?
I Hampton Roads is like a weird one to me, and I'm going to say this only because I know that there's a push to change it. Like, hey, who actually uses that when they say like I'm from this area, I'm from Hampton Roads? Like, no one. Like, I've never heard someone say I'm from Hampton Roads. No, you say I'm from Chesapeake. I'm from one of the 7 cities that makes up Hampton Roads. So I think that whole scenario is just
that's a not factual statement. It's actually 10 cities, 6 counties, and a town.
okay.
So
You're correcting me.
I didn't mean to correct you, but I'm just saying whoever came up with that 7 city thing didn't even get it correct.
Exactly. So, but my thing is that like, would you say like I'm from the 8 cities,
No.
2 counties? Like, no one would say that. Like, no, I'm not from Hampton Roads. No, I'm not from Tidewater. Like,
I guess from a positioning standpoint, like I believe we should call the region either Norfolk or Virginia Beach as
agreed.
a whole. And the
Agreed.
reason I think like a marketing guy, I say the Today Show shows Norfolk on its map for weather, I don't know, 5 of the 7 days out of the week. When there's storms,
Yep.
they say Norfolk or Virginia Beach.
Yep.
So there's all this just like free marketing and advertising that's going on that we're not leveraging.
Yep.
And I don't know, like it just seems like people want this moniker to be there, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like what matters is what that place does and is known for. And then if you put the Navy into that too and say that the world's largest naval base is based in Norfolk, there's even more advertising. I don't know why I brought that up. I hate this conversation because
it's so political.
Well, I just think that it's an easy fix, but people are being silly about fixing it. I don't know.
Agreed.
All right. What else? We're going a lot longer than I said. Is there anything else that you want to say that we haven't said yet?
No, I think
Where can people contact you? A couple of people want to give them friend requests.
For sure. Send me friend requests on Facebook. I'd be glad to hit you up with my email. If you're listening, my email is Abbey, ABBEY .Garbarino, GARBARINO @gmail.com. Hit me up. Be glad to meet for a coffee, beer.
And I'll be tagging you in this as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be there, so you guys will see it. It'll say, with Abbey Birsch Garbarino. I'm like 7 for 7 on that. I'm great.
Yeah, it's great.
This is super fun. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. And, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me know if you ever need a guest again. I'd be glad to come back.
Oh, yeah. You could maybe be the first second-time guest.
I would love that.
That'd be mind-blowing. Well,
mind-blowing.
I appreciate your time. Thanks for all the plugs.
Absolutely.
Smartwire really loves you.
I hope so.